Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a pretty cool idea. What if the albums you love aren't just a playlist, but a literal map of your life?
Yeah, really think about that for a second. I'm not talking about, your gym mix or the songs you blast on a road trip. Nope. We're talking about those albums that are so woven into your life, they're basically part of your DNA.
And that's what we're calling them core DNA albums. You can think of them like foundational texts for you. They're the source code for how you think, how you feel, how you create things. It goes way, way deeper than just a list of favorite songs. This is the blueprint. Okay, so to really get how this works, we're going to look at a real-world example. Let's break down the first pillar of a sonic identity. For our guy Stu, this whole journey kicks off in a very specific place, the Jersey Shore. This is his origin story, told in sound. This quote right here just says it all, doesn't it? Made bands feel like whole little cities in motion. An album like Springsteen's The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle, wow, it wasn't just a bunch of songs. It was a whole universe, a living, breathing place that really shaped how you saw the world. And what's really interesting is that this foundation, it's got two sides to it. They're different, but totally connected. You've got Springsteen, the street poet, right? His stories are your emotional compass. But then you have Southside Johnny, who brings that raw, bar band soul, all the heartbreak and the romance. You need both to build the coat. And get this, the myth doesn't even have to be real. For Stu, the soundtrack to a fictional band, Eddie and the Cruisers, actually became the blueprint for his own dreams of being in a real band. It was literally the soundtrack for the life he wanted to live. Okay, so from the Jersey Shore, the journey of this sonic DNA moves inward. We're heading to the American heartland now, where a whole new set of voices gets added to the mix, voices full of grit and a sense of injustice. So this is where the code gets some new flavor. You've got John Mellencamp, who brings in that working class grit, that fight against injustice. Then there's Tom Petty, giving it that classic, hungry rock and roll feel. And Alabama, they weave in those working men country harmonies. Every single one adds another crucial layer. Right, so here's a key point. A core identity like this can't just stay the same. It has to grow, it has to expand. So let's look at how new sounds and textures start getting folded into the mix. And honestly, there's no better example of this than U2's evolution. Just follow their journey, right? They start with that raw, urgent energy of Boy. Then they explode with the anthems on War. After that, things get more atmospheric, more experimental on The Unforgettable Fire. And it all culminates in the massive cinematic sound of the Joshua Tree. As they grew, the listener's own musical world grew right alongside them. And while all that's happening, the DNA is just soaking up influences from everywhere. I mean, look at this list. You've got the epic cinematic rock of the Waterboys, the super sharp lyrics of Elvis Costello, the polished, perfect sound of Boston, and yeah, even the heavy melodic theater of Ozzy Osbourne. Every one of these adds a totally unique gene to the code. But not every piece of your sonic DNA has to be super deep and serious. Sometimes it's all about something much simpler: memory, mood, and just plain old escapism. And this really creates a kind of emotional map. You need to escape? You put on Jimmy Buffett. Feeling a little rowdy? Hank Williams Jr. has you covered. Chasing that perfect summer vibe? The Beach Boys, of course. And then there's Bob Marley in reggae. The source material calls this moral and emotional background radiation. I love that. It's just this constant grounding presence in the background. And that's the thing, right? Sometimes music isn't about reflecting your life. It's about building a whole new one to escape into. For Stu, buying a Jan and Dean album wasn't just buying music. It was like buying a ticket to this perfect fantasy world of girls, cars, and endless beaches. It's the ultimate escape hatch. All right, so we've looked at these four pillars, right? You've got the foundation, the expansion, the new textures, and the emotional stuff. So, when you put it all together, what does this collection of albums really mean? Well, it becomes so much more than just a list of your favorite albums. It's a living blueprint. It's a map of a soul, showing exactly how a person's creative identity was built, piece by piece, over the years. It's your story, told through sound. And we've seen exactly how it works. It starts with that foundation, your origin story sound. Then you expand. You add new voices that challenge you. You start experimenting with totally different genres. And finally, you tie all those sounds to real memories, real feelings. And that's what makes the blueprint uniquely yours. Which, of course, brings this whole thing back around to you. If you had to sit down and map out your own story, what would be on that list? What are the 5 albums that make up your core DNA?